All right. Hi and welcome to the third reading of the book Orgasmic Blueprint. And as I have talked or read yesterday from the book about the importance of the hand and the main dynamic, how important it is to activate the hands, I will guide you today into the practice how waking up the hands work. And let's get straight in. Okay, so you notice a whole new world of sensory experience. Waking up the hands heightens your awareness of sensory inflow as you go into action. It is essentially a practice of pure mindful presence to your sense of touch. You're probably already aware that mindfulness positively changes the emotional environment of your brain and brings about deeper connection and insights to your experience of self, others, and the world. As you touch and direct your attention solely to the information being relayed by the afferent neurons in your hands to your brain, you notice that you experience pleasant sensations. So it's important to note here that when you're holding an object with one hand and moving it over the other, the hand that is in action while the other one is being done to, right? It's different from an experience of touch with another person where one gives and another one receives. So this practice wakes up your ability to notice the sensory inflow so that when you touch another, you are able to receive in your full capacity. So when you drop into this sensory experience, you might also notice other sensations or emotions. Each person is different, so it's difficult to predict exactly what you will notice. So when I practice, I notice a tingling sensation leading from my hand to my arm, which sometimes includes other part of my body. I feel muscles softening and my body relaxing. My breathing slows and I release a sigh as I drop in deeper. The practice is a keener experience of enjoyment in the moment, being here in the simplicity of just being me, with no agenda and where no shoulds exist. So others have described it as a rush of joy when I realized how simple it is to connect to myself. I was so tuned in, I felt pleasure even from the breeze of my hand. There was an experience of oneness with everything around me. Relaxation and connection to the energy inside myself and outside myself. Sensual tingling and a sense of joy. Pulsating like nothing or noticing the rhythm of my heartbeat throughout my body. If it bubbles up, gets really intense and feels a little overwhelming, but I can go a little further each time so that my ability to accept that amount of pleasure increases. I felt I'd entered a new dimension space where only what really matters exist. And there are plenty more of these, and could just fill the book with people's experience when their hands are waking up. So our hands naturally reach out to feel, so we're going to allow them to do just that. So it's time to embody direct pleasure through action by yourself, for yourself. Are you ready? So explore and experience now as you tune into what's coming in via your hands. Focus on and notice the inflow of sensations, bringing all your attention to the information, insights, emotions, and feeling as your experience. So the next part of the book is the practice of waking up the hands, and in this case I will link a video in the description where I show you an example how to do that. Please feel free to click that video and have the experience straight with your hands, and I will continue reading how to prepare, and I hope you find the experience that I have just described. So step one, lean back. So if you lean forward like this, your abdominal muscle and spine will engage and activate your sympathetic nervous system. so leaning back like I do that right now, will help ease your body into parasympathetic state of relaxation. It also helps you to relax if you place a cushion on your lap, like I have that here with my book, for your arms and hands to rest on. So the cushions is just like using stabilizer when you're leaning, the cushions is just like using stabilizers when you learn to ride a bike. I'll support your arms, it will support your arms, and then your nervous system will be more likely to relax when you become more adept. You'll no longer need the cushion's prop. Step 2. Choose an object, any object, and bring it to the cushion. Doesn't matter which object you choose, feel free to use a different object each time. And it could be any one of the many objects lying around your house. Maybe you could have a walk around and make a list of all the possible things to experiment with. Your keys, a stone, cork or piece of wood, a shell, watch, feather, cloth, your phone charger, a plant, the deeper pot, the pepper pot, or even the family pet, if it keeps still for a few minutes. Allow yourself to relax into the experience while your hands begin to notice how the object feels. You'll probably notice your brain labeling the object. For example, it's a book, it's a pencil, or whatever you're holding. You might think about what you can do with it. All that is unimportant. You have to consciously choose where you direct your attention. So just bring your focus to the sensations coming in through your skin as you allow your hands to experience pleasure. Step 3. Stay where you are and use your hands to notice everything about the object. Discover the object with your hands. Notice its size, shape, texture, temperature and weight. Whether it's sturdy or delicate, soft or rough. Just allow yourself to explore and feel the details. If you want to, close your eyes. Though you might find it easier to look at your hands while touching the object. Notice how fast you're moving your hands. Move your hands as slowly as you can so that you can soak up all the fine details of sensations. Can you notice any chance when you slow down? The slower you go, the more your sensory nerves can detect and enjoy pleasure. And if your mind wanders, if you find yourself thinking about the email you haven't sent or what you are going to have for dinner, no problem. It's great that you noticed that you were distracted. Now bring your relaxed focus back to the sensations in your hand again and again. If you're used to observing your thoughts, you'll probably notice some unusual ones come up. Maybe judgments, irritation, boredom, attachment or aversion to the object, doubt or even guilt or shame for trying to feel pleasure from a mere thing. If this happens, simply bring your attention to the sensations you feel. This is the most important thing. Everything else is unimportant in this moment. So continue here for a while. When you notice the inflow, just like with most meditation, allow yourself to open up to noticing, relaxing, breathing, feeling, surrendering to the sensations, letting everything else go. You just are. There's no need to think of or do anything else. Feeling the sensations, relaxing, surrendering to the experience. Step 4. Noticing the inflow of pleasure. At some point, you'll notice how nice it feels. This may seem strange to you, that you can feel pleasure simply by touching an object without anyone else being present with you. It's just you and your skin. Again, don't worry about what your thoughts say. Just allow yourself to tune into as much sensations as possible. Step 5. You'll notice a physiological shift. So when you stay tuned in, you'll notice a difference in how your body feels as your physiological changes. Your breath will slow down and become regular. Your muscles will release any tension they were holding on to. And this is because your nervous system has shifted into a deeper relaxation in the parasympathetic state. With this, your brainwaves slow down to alpha or theta, and your blood chemistry changes as oxytocin is released and cortisol and adrenaline is inhibited. When this shift happens, you'll feel a very pleasurable state of calmness and balance, both grounded and deeply connected to self. This fundamental somatic neurological shift needs to be physiologically accessed before consent can be experienced in any depth during the 3-minute game, which you learn to play soon. Interestingly, when your brainwaves change to alpha, your brain also releases acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter responsible for increased levels of attention, motivation, creativity, and long-term memory. Alpha brainwaves also open the filter known as the conscious critical faculty between your conscious and your subconscious mind. This allows access to more intuitive insights and creative inspiration, which with deeper relaxation, your brainwaves slow further to theta, the trance hypnagogic state where you are able to reprogram learned habits through visualization and sensory experiences. I just had a thought while I was reading. A friend was telling me, you have written the book. That doesn't mean that you can read it. So some words, they're just like tongue breaker. Okay. So for the roles of empowered receiving and giving to open up fully to you, your hands need to be capable of experiencing pleasure fluently. Your emotional fluency is connected to this capacity. Only then you know which clarity and certainty beyond learned patterns of touch, what is truly pleasurable to you and what isn't. Through this, you are able to access deeper sensual awakening. It's a magic and it works. After practicing for a few minutes, reflect on the experience you just had. What came up for you? What did you feel? What did you notice about yourself while feeling the object? Was anything difficult for you? Was it difficult to stay connected to the experience? Could you allow yourself to feel the sensations fully? Did anything prevent you from fully experiencing the sensations? How did that feel in your body? So now let's have a look what can prevent you from tuning into the inflow of sensations. Number 1, if your body feels like it's making an effort. So if your spine, abdominal or arm muscles are engaged, your nervous system will be in more alert working state and it will be harder to relax. So make sure you're leaning back and your arms aren't held up high but are resting on the cushion on your lap. 2, if you're moving your hands too fast, remember the part of your brain that controls your hand muscles movement is different from the noticing part which takes in the information from your hands. Your brain isn't used to doing both of those at once yet. That's why it makes a difference when you slow down. You might even have to stop and use your other hand for a while. Slowing down is the magical formula. If you have an agenda, you tend to speed up. When you speed up, your nervous system automatically switches on the sympathetic response, which isn't bad or wrong in itself. It's just that these times, neurologically, you feel less. This is due to the cerebellum, located in the back of your brain, which controls action, switching your insula, the feeling center, off. Talked about that before. If you were able to feel a lot, your nervous system would get overloaded. In moments of slow touch, you feel more, and in these moments, the working mind is silent. Within this state, one has an experience of restful, embodied being. 3. If your mind became distracted and you didn't notice that your attention had been directed elsewhere, this just takes a bit of practice. It's our mind's job to flip from one thing to another, constantly assessing our environment so that we stay safe. Keeping your attention on the sensations being picked up from your skin is the same as keeping your mind focused on an object of meditation such as your breath. And the same guidelines apply. So notice you're distracted, then simply bring your attention back to your object of focus, in this case the sensation in your hands, when coming into contact with whatever you're touching. It's important not to worry about being distracted. This just puts more unnecessary thoughts in your mind. Just be kind to yourself. Dismiss those thoughts as unimportant and just go back to the sensations again and again. Number 4. If you attach meaning to your experience, so meaning making, this is when we project a certain expectation or story onto what we are experiencing. It easily distracts us from our actual experience in the moment and can result in a bias and disappointment. So when you tune into the inflow, you'll notice that the usual mind chatter quiets and slows. By activating the noticing part of your brain, you bypass the automatic function of the meaning-making part of your brain, which is usually being logical, judging our environment and attaching stories to your experience. So if you notice any story, meaning or expectations coming up, remind yourself that you're simply engaging in self-care, going into action for you, experiencing your personal relationship to pleasure. No one is here to give to, you're just being you, noticing the sensations coming in during the process of experiencing pleasure without any specific goal, touching however you spontaneously want to touch the object for as long as you choose to. We'll explore meaning making more deeply in the section of the 3 components of pleasure later in the book. Number 5. If unexpected or confusing emotions come up, you could be really surprised at how much pleasure suddenly flows in and feel tearful, suddenly uplifted, a sense of relief or even embarrassment, guilt or shame at feeling pleasure in this way. So emotions are complex and connected to your lifetime of memories and conditionings. And as you bring all your attention to the experience, nerve cells relating the pleasure you feel. Sorry, that was a bad sentence. As you bring all your attention to the experience, nerve cells relaying the pleasure you feel also trigger memories connected to pleasure, to beliefs, emotions, patterns of behavior, and assumptions associated with it. Just know that whatever comes up for you is part of the process and absolutely fine. So don't be discouraged, stay curious, and set aside a few minutes each day to continue experimenting. Whether it's easy or it takes time, bring all of your attention to your skin until your awareness of the inflow is natural and you don't have to remind yourself anymore to put your focus there. So I encourage you to allow yourself to see where it takes you. If you notice unpleasant or challenging feeling that lasts for more than 2 minutes, it's probably an indicator that they are worth looking into. It may be overwhelming at times because you aren't used to experiences of these feelings, even the pleasurable ones. When a situation is unknown, it alerts the nervous system and we might interpret them as dangerous. We go much deeper into this later when discussing the numbness bar map and the polyvagal theory, but for now, just observe, notice when you notice and never force, stopping whenever you need to. Your experience will change and develop as your body begins to trust. And feeling the direct inflow finally drops in, becoming your second nature. Number 6, if you're used to going into action for others and focusing on giving, you might experience a numbness, a lack of sensations. Just like not having used and trained a muscle, not only will the concept sound foreign, but the habitual neurological pathway of your action for your own sensual pleasure, so feeling for yourself, simply won't be trained. It will feel confusing because your brain won't yet know what to do with the incoming sensation. So it adapts by shutting off and avoiding feeling this new experience until it has been repeated often and a new neurological pathway has been formed. So what others have shared about their initial difficulties. So if you have difficulties, you're not alone. Some people say, I feel a sense of shame is coming up. My mind was so full of stories I couldn't focus on my experience. I was doing it too fast, so I couldn't feel much. I think my expectation got in the way. I judged myself for doing the exercise. I kept getting distracted. I feared losing control. I aimed for pleasure, so my action was goal-oriented and distracted me away from my present experience. I would like to share shortly, when I did the first waking up the hand exercise, I had a lime in my hand and I was traveling around the world from Europe to Hawaii in that workshop, and I got so frustrated and angry that I didn't want to travel around the world for just touching a lime. I could have done that anywhere else. And that kept me away from sensing it. So just as a little story. So as you practice, explore with curiosity, staying in tune with impulses of the moment without any specific goal. So this will ground you more deeply in yourself and influence how you engage with life in general. Allow any feeling to arise, the ability to simply stay with the stimuli without the need to do anything specific takes you back to the innocent state used to explore objects and the world around you in the early years of your life. As infants, we intuitively practice touch in its purest form, picking up random objects, putting them into our mouths, feeding them, playing, improvising, discovering, and above all, enjoying. If you have kids, I'm sure you have observed this innocent, curious exploration and absorption of information from the world around them. I did. Over time, we were told by our caretakers not to touch in this way, and subsequently even thought it was something necessary to be protected. We grow up associating touch in its purest form with guilt and shame instead of a playful space void of doubts. Do you remember times in your childhood when you were forbidden to touch something or someone? I do. Which feeling arises when you recall these moments? So waking up your hands not only re-establish your ability to feel more, it increases your quality of touch, allowing you to redefine your relationship with touch and sensation. You'll become very aware of feeling or challenging emotions that arise and learn how to respond in the moment in a calm and rational way. Actively noticing the inflow helps your nervous system to remember what habit has made it forget. So you relearn how to experience pleasure and nourishment through your own action. So when you keep your attention focused on the sensations, the experience of inflow increases in intensity. And I'm sure you've heard the phrases neurons that fire together, wire together, and use it or lose it. This refers to neuroplasticity, the rewiring of your neural synapses to form new habits. So being able to notice and enhance your feelings and pleasure develops a deeper physical and spiritual capability of connection with your partner and the world you live in. It offers a new way to communicate through our touch, where you genuinely present to what is happening in the moment without the mind adding meaning to it. The more you practice, the more you will feel. Tune into your genuine self and develop high sensitivity and attunement. And that's absolutely worth it. I can just only underline that. So after about 3 weeks of continuous practice, you'll notice an exceptional increase in awareness of feeling and pleasure as your neural pathways regenerate. You'll also experience a profound increase in the release of oxytocin that's responsible for the feeling of safety, connection, and ease in your body. After 3 months, your experience of increased pleasure without any effort to continuously direct your attention while in action will be natural and organic. This will build the foundation of receiving when you touch somebody for your own pleasure. And we go much deeper into that when it's about the 3-minute game. We just started the book. It's been interesting to observe the different ways in which people respond as well as the difficulties some have. It can take time and practice to access the moment when the inflow of sensation drops in and your whole physiology changes. Some find it second natures. Others might need a few weeks. The speed at which it happens usually relates to how self-aware the person initially is. So if you have spent time practicing mindfulness and inner reflection in the past, you usually find the process much easier and quicker. However long it takes, I promise it will be well worth the investment. Be assured that everyone with an intact nervous system can do it. So when your body realize at a physiological level that your hands are a source of your own pleasure for you and not just instruments to activate tasks with or to do to or give to others, everything will change. So this is how you re-establish the full capacity of your sensory nervous system, relearning what it means to truly experience pleasure from your skin while you're in action. So witnessing this vital element of self-activation has been such a joy to observe in others. The fundamental shift in awareness triggers deep insights, empowerment, and awakening on so many levels. One example is the ability to self-regulate your nervous system's trauma response into a balanced state whenever you need to. In challenging times when fear, anger, and frustration arise, your amygdala engages a sympathetic nervous system which prepares your body for fight and flight. Here, rational decisions making is impossible. So when you learn to notice the inflow, you not only relearn how to experience pleasure, but are able to activate a relaxed state of being on demand. So this practice is not by any means limited to adults. It's a wonderful way to teach children how to self-regulate in times of stress. Here are 2 anecdotes from people who have been trained in somatic consent. Person 1. I'm a primary school teacher at a tiny private school with 13 pupils. Most kids come to us having a negative educational experience because basically they were being themselves too much for the regular state of schools. For a couple of weeks now, I have had a new girl in my group and she's been home for months. Although she's very willing to go to school, her past experience have made her put up such a barrier that it was almost physically impossible. So her little body was all cramped up with stress and glued to the father in the mornings. I decided to show her and the father the exercise of waking up the hands so that every morning before coming to school they could practice this for 5 minutes. She holds onto the objects while traveling to school, and after doing the exercise it helps her to calm her somewhat, and I'm very curious to see how this exercise of self-regulation will deepen for her in the coming weeks. Person number 2. I would like to share an experience I had with my 11-year-old daughter last night. She woke up screaming and crying at 2 in the morning. She was absolutely terrified and could not talk about what has scared her. So I brought her to my room and put an object in her hand while talking her through the process. After 5 minutes, she was calm and could clearly articulate what has frightened her so much. She felt like someone was choking her. She was able to go back to sleep peacefully for the rest of the night, and it was so beautiful to be able to ease her out of her dorsal vagus shutdown response and into a ventral state of relaxation. That is so beautiful. This practice is way of life. Waking up your hands connects you to so many aspects of your being. It heightens awareness, grounds you in self, and creates a sense of safety within your nervous system, which leads to an all further transformation, personally, interpersonally, and spiritually. So the biggest obstacle is the idea that feeling pleasure in the hands is similar to the feeling of sexual climax, which is all about the goal of satisfaction and gratification. Rather, the pleasure we tune into increases prolonged orgasmic capacity during relaxed arousal, as well as deeply intimate sensual connection with the lover. We'll talk about this much more in depth in the section Being on the Edge in the book, what is actually my total favorite. To experience with the inflow of sensation in your hands, I welcome you to practice alone or with a partner with the help of this online starter course and app. What is here in the next part. But I will post the link into the description of the video, and probably as well put an link in the video where you can click straight to the video, and here will come somehow the next video to the next reading, for number 4. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you got something out of that. Please practice waking up the hands and start creating your orgasmic blueprint. All right, see you on the next one. Bye.